Okay, we shall wait another minute or so. But for the people who have already registered and are online, here is the program for today. First of all, I'm going to talk about paragraph formatting, because this is the building block for everything in Word documents. And then we will talk about text blocks, pieces of text of similar styles, introducing the word styles, which a lot of people do not understand. And we will proceed with examples and demonstrations of various aspects of Word. So I will share my screen so everybody can see what's happening and see who else is here. One more minute and then we get started. Now I see most people have their microphones turned off. Anybody want to speak to me? Turn your mic on and talk to me for a moment. No? Okay. Okay, 10:02. I will assume that everybody who's going to register has registered and is now online. So I'll start with paragraph formatting. As I'm not getting any feedback, I will assume everybody can see this and hear this. And I'm not just talking to the great sky. Okay. The first document I want to quickly look at is, here we are. This is a simply formatted document that I wrote, presented to a seminar here at the university some years ago. And I'm going to take just the first paragraph, very simple paragraph, and talk about that. Now, first of all, see these funny little characters here? These are control characters. And that says that this is the end of the paragraph. Okay, so that is the end of this paragraph, and the next line is the next paragraph. Notice I do not have another paragraph mark here to put space between the paragraphs. So let's have a look at this paragraph, and we go up here to the paragraph menu at the top of the screen. This is the quick menu, and we can see we can format the paragraph to be left justified and raggedy right. Actually, probably a better paragraph to do this with is this one. See, it's all raggedy on the right, but it is lined up neatly on the left, so that's left justified. We can do it the other way, where it's right justified and all raggedy on the left. Or we can put it all in the center, or we can make it justified, which means that it's lined up nicely on the left and lined up nicely on the right. Now, if we dig deeper into the paragraph menu and we come up with this full screen on formatting, here we see alignment, and this is already stated as justified, this paragraph. So we can select left or centered or right or justified, or we can select tie distributed. Now, why we would select tie distributed for an English language document, I'm not sure. But most students, and indeed researchers and staff, send me documents to edit in tie distributed format. Don't do that. Make it justified. The difference in appearance is not great, I must admit, but justified is the correct setting. Okay, so this is justified. It's lined up nicely on the left, on the right, and on the left. Now, special. We can either indent the first line. There we are, we indented the first line. Notice I indented it as a paragraph formatting situation. I didn't do what some people do. Say, oh, I'll have to tab to get in there, or I have to enter some spaces to get in there, or a combination of both. No. I format the paragraph with a first line indent. Now, we'll look here. Obviously, I have set my layout. Here's my layout, and I have selected margins. So whatever the margins are that I have selected, if I say that one, okay, that's selected the margins to be different. So coming back to the paragraph, I can indent on the left from the margin. And I can use this little device up here to say, no, I want to back out of that. Okay. Or I can do the same here on the right. Let's indent that on the right. No, I don't want that, but it's a useful thing to be able to do. And now here I have stated that there's 6 points of white space above this paragraph and 6 points of white space below the paragraph. There you are, there's the spacing. This is why I don't have another paragraph with nothing in it, because I have formatted the paragraph as having space before and after, before and after, before and after. And that then leads us to the line spacing. Often, documents come to me for editing where the line spacing is double. Okay, that's fine. But it's interesting that that usually does not conform to the final format of the document if it is to be published in a journal. So we have to find a simple way to format all these paragraphs, all of these paragraphs throughout the entire document. And we do this by styles, which I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to return this back to 16 point between or spacing between lines. So we've got single, 1.5 line spacing, double, and we can say at least or exactly or have multiple. Often we have multiple, which is sort of 1.08 or something, okay? But I'm going to stick to exactly 16 point. Okay, so there I have a formatted paragraph. I'll go back in and I'll say that there is a first line indent. Oh, I haven't shown you hanging. So if I say hanging, what that means is the first line is like that. Oh, pardon me. And all the other lines in the paragraph hang off there. Okay, so they're all indented. That is hanging. But I will return this to first line indent. So there we have a well-formatted paragraph. First line indent, fully justified, line spacing. Now I want that to be the format for all my paragraphs in this document. I'll make a change because probably they're all that anyway. I'll say, okay, I want all my paragraphs to be single. There we are. I've submitted this document to the journal. They've come back and said, yay, we'll publish this, but this is our format. We want all these paragraphs to be single line formatting. So I go up here to styles. And I say, okay, I want this to be my normal style. So I will update normal to match the selection. And lo and behold, all the other paragraphs in my document that I have previously stated as being normal style are changed. Okay? So that's the first benefit of using styles. If you change a style, that change goes through your entire document. And I'll show you this again. If I go in and I say, okay, I want to modify normal, and for some strange reason, make it all red. There we are. It's now all red throughout the document. Okay? Now notice there's still some areas which are black, like headings and that. Okay? And so on. But then I can return that back to black. So there we have a demonstration of formatting a paragraph correctly. It now means we don't have to do a tab, or sorry, an enter to put a space between paragraphs. And if we change the formatting and we change that normal style, it goes through the entire document. Now, while I'm here, I'll show you something else. If I do a shift enter, okay, that puts this funny little character here. Now, as I said, that's a hard paragraph mark. That says end of paragraph. This says force it to a new line. Let's say I want to force it to a new line here for some strange reason. Shift enter. There we are. It's forced it to a new line. Now I have one paragraph with two parts. It's all the same paragraph, but it's got two parts. So that is a line feed within the paragraph. Okay, so I'll come back to those funny little characters a little later. So that's the simplest level of formatting that I can talk about, but everything else in the document are also paragraphs, even though multi-line. So I'll get rid of this particular document and I'll go to this document. Now this is an actual research paper that I was given to edit, which I have obviously done quite a bit of coding up so that it's not obvious who did it. I want to keep the author's privacy. And I now want to show you, if I say I want to modify normal to be red, gee, nothing happened. That's odd. I guess that means that these paragraphs have not been defined as normal. So let's define this one as normal. Oh, well, that's now completely different formatting to this for these paragraphs. Well, there's a problem. What about this? Oh, that's the heading, but it's defined as normal. And so we've got a problem here. We have a formatting problem. Now, before I continue with this, I'll show you what I mean by these styles and these text pieces. If you have a look at this document, you see that there is a title. Okay, let's go back and have a look at the document. Yes, there is a title. Okay. Now notice that the title is Times New Roman 12, bold. The paragraph is it's aligned on the left. There's no left or right indent. There's no first line indent. It is double. Okay. If we now have a look at this paragraph, we see that it's an entirely different style. This is not bold. It is not double spaced. Okay? And if we look at other styles, let's go back to our structure document. Oh, we have another chunk of code, shall we? Sorry, a chunk of text, which I call the authorship. Here we are. Where's authorship? Oh, there it is. There's authorship. Now that is a style which is different to that. Looks different, doesn't it? Completely different. So it's a different style. It's different to that. It's different to that. So I consider that to be a style all on its own. Then we look at the abstract. Okay, let's go and look at the abstract. Here we are. Now the abstract has a header and is a paragraph. Okay? So there is potentially another chunk of code, because sometimes these paragraphs in the document are indented first line, but the abstract is not. Minor thing. So perhaps we need to have an abstract style. But I won't, and I'll show you why in a minute. Okay. Now we have headings, which have their own styles, and we have figures, which figures have captions, and we have references, which have their own style. Here's a standard paragraph. And then we have tables, which have their own style and captions. So you see that the document can be broken up into a lot of little chunks of code with particular styles. The title style, it's there only once. Nothing else in the document has the same style as the title. It may look like it, but it's not the same style as the title. The authorship deserves its own style, and so on. So having looked at these text pieces, these text chunks, let's go back to this other document. Right, here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this and say I want this to be title style. So I'll update title section. Now title is an inbuilt style in Word. Okay, you don't have to do anything except select it. But having selected it, I always go back in and say, I don't want this style to be based on any other style. Okay? So that's now a stand-alone style. Title. If I make any changes to any other style in the document, it's not going to touch this style. Having set that style, I can now, if I want, format it format it differently. I might say, well, okay, I want this to be 1 centimetre on the left and right indented. There we are. And I might say I want it to be centred. There we are, it's centred. I certainly don't want to say that it's first line indented or hanging. I don't want any space before, but maybe I need 12 points of space after, and I will make it 1.5 lines. There we are. So now the title looks different to what it was when I first started, but it is still title style. Okay, it is still title style. Which means that once you have set a style, within that style you can change the formatting. Okay? Now let's have a look at this chunk, which is what I call authorship. I don't see any authorship style here, so I'm going to create it. Create a style. Authorship. Let's get that spelled correctly. Authorship style. Okay. There we are. It's now a style. And again, I will modify it so that it is not based on any other style. And again, I can change the formatting within that style and it still remains authorship, different to every other style. So I'll make the authors like that. I see that there's an asterisk here which indicates, well, often you will see with multiple authors you'll see here, here's 1, 2, I'll do that as superscript, and 3. I'll make that 3. Okay, and the reason for that is maybe number 1 is in the Department of Comical Information, but number 2 is in a different faculty, and number 3, I'm not going to worry about spelling terribly much, a remote university, okay? So there we are. Right, so now we see that Mickey Mouse is in Department of Comical Information, Donald Duck is in a different faculty, and Goofy is in a remote university. Disney World, there we are. Okay, so far now I have set up 2 styles, title and authorship. Now, if I make formatting changes to anywhere else in the document, that remains the same, is not touched, and that remains the same. Okay? Now, let's have a look at this particular format here. Tell you what, I'll go down to here. No, I'll go back up to here. Right. So I don't like the format of this particular paragraph, so I'll reformat it as justified, not tie distributed, justified, left and right, no indentation. I want it to have a first line indent, and I want it to have 6 points before and after, and I want it to be exactly 16 point. There we are. Of course, oh dear, I want it to be Times New Roman. Where's Times New Roman? Down here somewhere. RST. There we are, Times New Roman. And I want it to be Times New Roman 12. Okay, so that's formatting the actual text. Now I could make the actual text italics. No, don't want that. I could make it bold. No, don't want that. I could have it all underlined. Not a good idea. I could have all of it subscripted or superscripted, but I don't want to actually do that. So I want this to be my normal paragraph style. Okay? Update normal to match. Uh-oh. What's happened? My bold heading has disappeared. It's now... Oh, that one too. So all my headings have disappeared. This one hasn't been formatted as normal, so that's in some other font. Gee, I've got a bit of a problem here. Oh, look at this. All my headings have disappeared. Well, what to do about that? Well, let's start off simply. Actually, for simplicity, I'll go back to my previous document, which I closed. So I'll open that again. Open. sample. Okay. Good Lord. Doesn't matter, I've lost track. Okay, so I look at this particular heading and I say, oh, okay, that's a simple heading. We'll make it bold and we'll format it. No first line indent. On the left, 6 points before, and because it's a heading, we'll make it 6 points after, and we'll make it single. There we are. This is what I want a heading to look like. But then I look at this one and I say, hang on a moment. This is a numbered heading. Okay. And if I look further, that's another numbered heading. That's number 2. And within number 2, there's a 3. Within heading 3, there, heading 3. Oh, I see a 3.1. This tells me that what I actually have is a structured heading setup. Structured headings. 1, 1.1, 1.1.1, and so on. Okay, so now this is actually the most difficult to understand, but it is still quite simple. I'm going to set up 3 lines here, and I'm going to call it first heading line, second heading line, third heading line. I will highlight all of these together and say I want to set up a structured list, numbered. If I then indent that, it becomes 1.1. And if I indent that twice, it becomes 1.1.1. Okay. So this looks like the ability to set up these headings in this way. So I'll go to first line and I'll say I want it to be bold. Now it's a first heading, so I'll make it 12 points before and 12 points after. Single. I want it on the left. I won't touch that. And I like to go into here. Now this is just clicking on the number and do a right click and adjust the indents and say I want a space here instead of a tab. Let's see that again. I'll click on there, adjust list indents, and I've got a space, and I say, no, I want it as a tab character. Okay? And I'll do it a third time to put it where I really want it. Now, sometimes this appears a bit different, and down here you get more, and you have to go to the more to do this change. Okay. Now, that is what I want my heading 1s to look like. So I'll go up here to this style heading 1, and I will update heading 1, and I will modify it to say no style, not dependent on any other style. Now let's move our attention over to here. this navigation panel, view navigation panel. Here's the navigation panel. Notice I've got an entry in navigation panel already. If I go to here and I say I want this to be a heading 1, it sets it up in the navigation panel. And if I go to here, heading 1, it sets it up in the navigation panel. I get rid of the typed in number, okay, and I go to here, heading 1, I get rid of the typed in number. Hang on, that said heading 2 and it's now heading 4. Don't worry about it, because if I go back to here and I say I want the abstract heading to be a heading 1, but I don't want it numbered. So now, this has been brought back. This has been brought back. If I now go to here and delete this, what happens? This is now supposed to be brought back to number 1. Word lets me down sometimes, so I'll go in here and I'll say I want to restart at 1. There we are. So now I've got 1, 2, I can go through, here's 3, get rid of the typed in number, and so on. Oh, what about 3.1? Okay, I need to go back up here. So now I want to format second heading line. And this has been stated as italics. I can do the same thing here, adjust line index and make it a space. I will make this a heading style 2, so update heading 2 to be that style, and again modify style based on normal, not on normal, not on anything. Maybe I should pay a bit more attention to formatting this. Yes, I want it on the left. I don't want it hanging. I do want it indented, okay, so that's been done for me. I want it single, and I want 6 points before and 12 points after. Okay, that's what I want my second heading line to look like. I'll go back and update this because I changed the formatting. Let's go down to here. There we are. So now that's a heading 1. Sorry, heading 2, and that's a heading 2, and so on. And notice it's all being built up here on the left-hand side. Now I can go back and I can delete that. If I want a third level heading, I do the same thing and update heading 3 to be that. But on this occasion, I don't want a third level heading. At least I don't think so. We'll find out. Now, I want to change everything that is normal to be red. Oh, well, that's not changed because that's a special style. That's not changed because that's a special style. That's not changed because that's also a special style. This, however, is normal, So is these. See, I don't need. Oh, this is weird. Okay, so make that normal. And make that normal. Oh dear, see how I have to go right through all of these to make them normal so they can form? If I had made those normal in the first place, one change. Let's modify this to be green, no blue, there we are, lovely colour. Every normal paragraph in the document gets changed. You don't have to go through paragraph by paragraph to change the format, because the journal has told you we don't want the format you've got, we want a different format. Okay? Now the journal's not going to say, hey, don't make it normal. They don't care that you've called it normal style. All they care about is what it looks like. Okay. So now I'm going to turn my screen. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, I will stop sharing. And I will now ask for any comments about what I have said so far. Anybody want to make a comment? Anybody want me to cover anything I've already covered? Explain something again? Talk about what I've done? Any feedback so far? Silence was the stern reply. How many people have we got here? I thought that we had about 15, 16 or 17 responses, but looks like we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 outside the graduate school. That's disappointing. Okay, I will assume that whoever's still here is keeping up with me, and I'll go back to sharing my screen. Let's have a look how I'm going on my original plan. Ah yes, we've looked at the parts of the document. I've demonstrated paragraph formatting. I've shown you what happens when everything is normal. All of the headings also change to whatever new normal format you've done, and so on. So, let's proceed with other aspects of the document. I will change, okay. So we have somebody else has joined. Welcome. Right, normal, modify, back to black. Right, let's move through this document. Start from the beginning again. Now I'll show you a little trick. Every heading, and in fact most paragraphs, many paragraphs have a double paragraphing. Okay, so if I go to replace what? Now I want to replace paragraph marks. The code for replacing a paragraph mark, or for a paragraph mark, is #P. And I want to replace everywhere there are two paragraph marks together with one paragraph mark. Okay, so that's the format for paragraph mark in this replace. And we now see, oh, there's only one paragraph mark. So instead of having spacing by paragraphing, we've got spacing by definition. There we are, 12 points before and after. And so on it goes. If I have a lot of people, okay, so instead of this being normal, they say, okay, we want a tab. We'll tab in there. Let's see what happens if I say paragraph mark followed by a tab. Okay, replace all. Not obvious. Tell you what, I'll put in a new paragraph. Tab, this is a new paragraph. Okay, so I want to get rid of that, so that'll work here. Replace all, there we are. So the paragraph followed by a tab has been, the tab's been removed. Okay. But we still have this double paragraphing. So I'll go back here, paragraph mark followed by a paragraph mark, replace it with only one paragraph mark. Okay. Small matter. Now we come to figures. Here is a figure. I'm just going to make a recommendation to you, and that is you always format figures. Go up to format. Oh, get out of the way. Okay, I'll do a right click here. Picture. Yeah, okay, get rid of that. Right, okay, so here we are. We will format this. And I'm going to wrap text. Okay, so highlight the figure, format, wrap text. My usual start point is to say wrap text tight around the figure. Now this immediately means I have to put some paragraphing around that. As soon as I do that formatting, and the formatting could be different, right? We could say put it behind text or in front of text, right? Fix it on the page, but I always go to tight to start off with. As soon as I do that, I can now move this around much more easily. In fact, I can just move it around at all. And I can also size of it. Okay, more easily. There we are. I'm changing the size of it. So that makes it a lot easier to format your paper that has figures in it. Now, if I go through and I look at any more figures, where are we? Figures, figures, figures. Yeah, wow. Okay, so often I see this where the figure is a bit obscured. So I'm going to format that figure, wrap text. There's the figure. Well, that's figure 3. And there was also a figure 2. So I will format that one to wrap text around that as well. Okay, now all is revealed. Now this is figure 2. I can move it down to here. I'm going to have to make space on the page for it. There we are. And fine, so I think I'm going to have to force this onto a new page. Insert a page break. Now this one, again, format, wrap text, tight, and I'm going to make this 10, which means I'm going to have to give it space. And so all of your figures should be formatted by wrapping the text in some way around it or putting it in front of text or behind text or whatever. Okay? That doesn't look very good. Obviously, it needs to be brought more into focus. Yeah, okay, we've lost focus, doesn't matter. It was a very small figure that I grabbed from the internet, so it's become a bit blurry when I made it large, but it's just purely simply for demonstration purposes. But what I will also say about this is these graphs, obviously the colour of the graph is important. Okay, so the grey says it's the CPI and the red says it's something else and the yellow says it's something else. But what happens if this is published in a journal that's printed in black and white, grayscale? All of those graph lines will become grey, the same grey, so no colour. So the meaningfulness of the colour is lost. So be careful when you're doing figures and graphs and that sort of thing, and you're relying on colour to make a point. Make sure that you're going to be publishing in a coloured journal, okay? Otherwise, you're going to have to make it look different. Right, so while I'm on the subject of figures, oh, look at that, okay, that's a heading 2. Okay, I can go through and I change these. Oh, look, I've just updated here, fine. I'm going to chase down here somewhere. Okay, that's a heading 1. But now I decide, oh, and that's a heading 2. Notice 4.1. But I've decided I'm going to put a new section in. This is a new section with a new heading 1. Oh, well, that's been automatically numbered as 4, and that's been automatically updated to be 5, and that's been updated automatically to be 5.1. Let's see what happens when I remove that. That goes back to being 4 and 4.1. There is an advantage, again, of using headings and structured headings. Okay, so let's go back to our, here we are. Now here is the caption. Let's see what format the caption is. Oh, the caption's normal. No, we shouldn't have a normal caption. What we should have is a special caption. I'll just copy that for ease. And I'm going to right-click and say, what can I say? Not much. So I want to insert somewhere or other a caption. Interesting. Tell you what I'll do. I'll grab something off the internet. Okay, here's a picture of a man. I will copy that just for the demonstration. Okay, and I will copy that into my document. Let's get rid of that and paste that. Okay, format that by wrapping text tight. Bring that into here. See if I have a bit more luck here. Okay, right click. Oh dear, 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 dear. Word always brings little surprises on me. Save as a picture. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to insert a caption. I'm going to have to stop this for a moment. What I want to do is insert a caption here, make it an official caption. Tell you what I'll do, I'll go to my other big document, which is my book on database. Where's, I wonder if I've got a, here we are. Oh, this is a table. Right, here we are. Right, insert a caption. Not exactly sure why I can't do it on the other one, but nonetheless, insert a caption. Now this is the, I haven't looked at this document for a long, long time, and it's not fully done the way I would do it now. But nonetheless, this is figure 1, right? Here is the caption, okay? Now, Word puts the caption of the figure underneath the, here we can say, because this is a figure, we want it to be above or below the selected item, okay? And it puts it in a box, and that makes that easier to move around. So now we have an officially defined formatted caption. And I can go up here to this is a very big document, so it's going to be a bit slow. Caption is an inbuilt, there we are, caption is an inbuilt style. I'm going to modify that. I don't want it to be blue. I want it to be black. I don't want it to be italics. I do want it to be 12 points. And I do want it to be bold. There we are. So there is my caption, which is an officially defined caption. Word has defined that caption. Now, what is good about that? Well, if I refer to that caption anywhere in my document, see figure 1. Okay. Now, if I go to some other figure before here, this is all a bit of a mess because of reformatting and that. I haven't done it properly for a long time. If I now make this if I insert a caption here, oh, this becomes figure 1 because it's in the document the first. So here is my new figure 1. And it now conforms to the caption style that I made. If I now go back down to here, wherever it was, this has been automatically changed to figure 2. But this is still talking about figure 1. Now I know that there is a way in Word to solve that problem by making this a reference to this. You can only do this when you have an officially defined Word caption. I must admit, I don't know how to do that, but I can find out, okay? I'm not going to do it now, but I can find out. So that this would be automatically updated to say figure 2, because it's referring to a formatted caption. As I said, not sure how to do that myself, but I can find out. But I know it can be done. Okay? So let's go back. We'll close this. We don't save that. Go back to our other document. Right, apart from the unfortunate problem of not being able to put the caption in here for some strange reason, hey, I'm not a genius. Word sometimes lets me down. I don't know why this is happening. I can find out, but every one of your figures should be formatted as or with wrap text, and everyone should have a formal caption. Okay? This then brings us to the matter of tables. Ooh, look at that table. Terrible formatting. Why? Because it is normal. But we don't want our data in a table. We don't want our data in a table to be formatted like a normal paragraph. So let's say make it all to the left. Okay? And we don't want first line indent. We'll make it to the left, okay, go through the motions here. We'll make it single line and a little bit of space before and after. So that's what we want our whole table to look like. That's looking a bit better. Okay, maybe I can shift that into the middle a bit. I can now also put a caption on this. There we are, caption. I don't know why I can't do it for that, but here we can insert a caption. Okay. Notice captions you can have either on figures, on tables, or equations. In this case, it's a table, and for the table, I want it to be above the selected item. Right. Well, there's our caption. And I can copy that to there. I can get rid of this. I can go to caption, format the caption. I don't want my captions to be all bold. Okay. I can then go in and if I want, actually make that bold. So there's my formatting of the caption for the table and my formatting of the table, but it's still normal. So what I will do is I will make a style called table data style. Okay, and I will go up here, modify this so it's not based on any other style. Right, so now if I change normal, modify normal to be red, let's see how we're going. Why is table data? There we are. Okay. Caption, I want to make black. There we are. If that was a properly constituted caption, which I haven't been able to do, that would be black as well. I see this is heading 2, and so on. Here's another table. I can make that table data style. Now the point about table data style is it all is in that format. Maybe you want your headings to be bold. Maybe you want these columns to be slightly different. Maybe you want all of these on the right. Okay, whatever. It would be silly to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 styles, one for each column and for header and everything. So make it a style and then format within the table. Just a point on this. This is part, okay, that's fine. This is part of the table. Table data style, right. So then again, we can the experimental setting. Okay, now for some strange reason, table captions are not put in a box. Why isn't this formatted? Okay, that's a caption. Now, let's see one of the great benefits of, and I'm going to turn markups off. One of the great benefits, I'll move all of you people over here. Now, this is not appropriate to this document, but I will still use this document to demonstrate it. You would need to do this, say, if you're writing a thesis. Give us a bit of space here. I'm going to insert, we'll go up here to references, and I'm going to insert a table of contents. Okay? All of the style, all of the text that I have called a heading, heading 1, heading 2, is automatically put into the table of contents, which I can format. Okay? Just for the purpose, I'll just make it all black. And no colour. Okay? Now, when you write your thesis, that is that final document that you have to write for your master's or your PhD to talk about all your experiments and all your research, you're going to have a table of contents. iThesis, where you have to register your thesis in iThesis, iThesis has styles, which are equivalent to word styles. So when you do your thesis, you will probably have to learn about how to use iThesis for formatting. And if you understand styles, it'll be easier to come to terms with the iThesis formatting using iThesis styles. Now, before iThesis was compulsory, I did have a PhD student one time crying in my office. Oh, Teacher Roy, Ajahn Roy, I am so tired. Oh dear, why are you so tired? Oh, I spent 6 hours last night typing in my table of contents. Why? Because the student had not formatted her thesis using styles, header styles, so that she could create her table of contents just like that. And when I showed her this, she cried some more. Oh no, I didn't know that. Oh, it would have saved me hours and hours and hours. And that's an important aspect of understanding styles. They can save you a lot of time if you have to reformat your document, change the style, and the entire document is changed, or the text of that style. Now also, I'm going to insert a table of tables. There we are. I have 2 tables officially captioned. I could do the same with a table of figures, if I had any. At the moment, I don't. Okay? No table of figures entries found. Okay? I'll put back in my table of tables. Okay? So that's why headings and captions are necessary. Are we back again? Anybody care to say hello to me?
Hello, Mr. Lloyd.
Hi! Yay!
Hi.
I'm not alone in the world.
So, yeah, it was useful. Yes, what your lecture. I listened it to all the time. Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, good. So, yeah, La Hun, you have anything to? Yeah. Yes. Please go on, Lloyd.
It does surprise me that so few people know who write papers and write theses and documents and the like know how to use Word properly. They use it as a glass typewriter.
Yeah.
Instead of the old Olivetti clack, 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 it's just Word, but used the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
First of all, I like the old saying that a tradesman is as good as his tools, and a tradesman should know his tools. And for the writer, the word processor is the writer's tool and should understand how it all works. And I must admit, I've been sitting here almost wondering whether there's anybody out there showing my screen. So what was I going to say? I've lost track. Okay, I'll start on something else. So styles can save a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm just covering, well, really, what I've been showing, I don't think is terribly difficult to understand. It's
not at all.
You know, this is advanced calculus or how to put a rocket on the moon. So it should be easy to start using styles. Now, when you write your thesis, for example, or even when you start writing a document, what do you want in your document? Let's think about, I'm going to write a new research document, right? Tell the world about my amazing new ideas. Okay, what am I going to call the document? What's my title? Title, there's a style. Type in the title style. Okay, I'm going to tell the world who I am. Ajahn Roy, wonderful fellow, Naresuan University Graduate School, telephone number XYZ. Make that a style, authorship. Okay, now I want headings. I want to think about the structure of my paper or the structure of my thesis. Sometimes there are compulsory chapters, okay? Sometimes there are just necessary and desirable headings, but I have to think about the overall format. Well, I'm going to have an abstract, okay? There's heading 1, or first heading. Then I'm going to have an introduction, that's a second heading. And I might have a literature review, another heading. Then I have to talk about my methods and materials. So these are the standard headings that you put in a document. So set up your headings. What do you have in 10 minutes? Well, however long it takes you to think about it, you have the skeleton of your document. And you look at that and you say, what's missing? What's missing here? I know. I need acknowledgements. Say what a wonderful fellow Ajahn Roy is for editing my English. Right, put another heading in. So this is a top-down structuring of your document, which I guess comes from my many years of teaching computer programming. How to develop a computer program. Main ideas in procedures and functions, next level that does that, and so on. So right from the very beginning, you have the structure of your document. You've got titles and title style, authorship and authorship style, headings and heading style, which shows on that left-hand side of the screen your skeleton of your document. Now you start typing in your paragraphs, format your paragraph. When you finish that paragraph and you go to the next one, enter, bang, immediately you're in a new paragraph with the correct style. Now, I've seen documents where sometimes it's left indented, sometimes it's tab indented, sometimes it's space indented. Why not set up a good normal style from the beginning? Am I talking sense here?
Yep.
I think so.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's my point. It's not difficult to understand. It's not difficult to use, and it's sensible. So you submit your manuscript to a journal, and the editor comes back and says, hey, wonderful program, a wonderful manuscript, brilliant new idea. We're going to publish this. But you now have to turn it into our style. Here's our template. Oh, okay. So you can stick to styles. Go to title style. What's the title paragraph supposed to look like? Maybe you go into that and change. Okay, so you set up the style. Now, what's the paragraphs? Well, I've got Times New Roman 14 for my paragraphs, which are double spaced, so Ajahn Roy can edit them easily and read it. I have to turn that into a different style. Change normal, right through the entire document. The editor's not going to say, oh, no, I don't want that as normal style. We don't understand that. No, the editor's going to say, oh, thank you. And in a 15-second change, your entire document, all the paragraphs are now according to what the journal wants. Time saving, efficiency. Anybody not want to save time? Anybody want to go paragraph by paragraph, changing the way it looks? No, I don't think so. And I think this idea of a top-down development of your thesis is also a good idea. What is the structure of your thesis that you're now going to start filling in? Okay? Which brings me to another interesting point. Students and staff, researchers, send me their thesis chapters, each in an individual file. And often the formatting of file, the introduction file is different to the formatting of the literature review file. And I say, send me one file. Okay? Send me the file with your introduction in it. And then when we're organized with that, add the next chapter, if you like, chapter 2, in the same file. So it adopts all the same formatting. And I've heard it said, oh no, that would mean a very big file. Oh, wow. I said, so? What's wrong with a very big file? Oh, hard to find stuff. Well, let me demonstrate something. I'm going to, for example, open my amazing document on database, which I wrote some time ago, nobody ever reads. Okay, it is how many pages long? It's very long, very long. If I go right to the end, watch carefully. Control, click in the table of contents. Or I go to here, click. Wow, I just jumped to page 227. What about my other document and my other book that I've written, which you might like to get a copy of? Okay, here we are. The ABC of English verbs. Takes a while to load because there are
Mr. Lloyd, do you want us to see your screen or?
Oh,
it just, yeah, please show your screen, please.
Oh no, I
No.
forgot. Thank you.
All right.
How stupid of me. Okay, go back to my demonstration.
Yep.
So here we have a document which is 183 pages long, which is probably a little longer than most master's theses, probably not quite as long as most decent PhD theses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all marked up with headings. So let's see. What do you want to know about sentence structure? Aha, there it is. Oh, that's on page 27. And, oh, I have a fascination for the verb to have. So let's, boom. Let's see. Oh, general patterns for verb tenses. Look at that. In other words, by having headings and being able to see all that structure and those headings in the navigation panel, you hyperlink around your document so easily. Even if it's a 200-page document, in this case it's nearly 200 pages, you can bounce around, hyperlink around so easily. So there's no need to be worried about having a file that's too big with your thesis information in. So one file for your thesis document. You then don't have to change and update the styles for each individual file of each chapter. Much easier and again, much time saving. Okay, so there we are. Let's go back to right. So let's just quickly cover paragraph formatting. I think that's desirable to know about it. It suits for every piece of text. Everything is in a paragraph, even if it's only one line. We've got all these text blocks. What haven't I covered in text blocks? Yeah. References. Let's go to my demonstration document. And we come down to references. Now, sometimes the references are in there as sort of endnote references. Well, I don't touch those. But when it's not, okay, I'm going to format this particular reference here. Okay, I'm going to make it black. I'm going to format the paragraph, no first line indent. In fact, I'm going to have a hanging indent. Yeah, I'll leave it at 16. Okay. Now this is not set up as a tab, as a numbered list. So I'll accept that situation with a tab. Is that what I want my references to look like? Okay. Format, create a style, references style. Okay. So there's my references style. I will modify that so that it is not based on any other style. And now I can say, okay, all of these are now references style. Oh, gee, I forgot something. I didn't format the paragraph to have 6 points before and after. Fine, now I've got it. Okay. Now, I mentioned before about this line feed. Okay, now line feed often is very handy here because sometimes these URLs are very long and they make the whole thing look really weird. So if I go to here and I say Shift Enter, I'm still in the same paragraph, but I've forced the whole URL onto the last line, which makes it look neater and more readable. So now I've got my references. I'm going to put in here, this is a heading 1. Oh, 5. Well, that's 5 and that's now 6. But I don't want that to be numbered. I don't want that to be numbered. It's still over here in my navigation panel. Okay. As I go up, if I go back to here and do this again, and make this a heading 1. Well, this is now a 5. That's now, why aren't these, words sometimes makes me look stupid. They should have been automatically changed. If you do it carefully, step by step, then you don't have these sorts of problems. I wonder if I can put a caption in here, it looks like. No, I can't. I can't format it. Something funny with this particular document that I happen to have chosen. But anyway, there we have it. A perfectly formatted document with a heading that doesn't change, authorship doesn't change, properly constructed headings which appear over here in the navigation panel, separately defined normal paragraphs. Maybe we can change this. These are, or should be, okay, let's make these, say these are normal. So what we're going to do, I'll change the paragraphing Okay, but now I will say I want them to be numbered. Well, starts to get a bit confused, but we'll make it 1. We can format this paragraph, or we can make list paragraph like that. We can change it, not bold, okay. We can indent it, we can make sure that there's space before and after the paragraph, and we can go back here and say that's what we want our list paragraphs to look like. I should have picked another document. This one's too weird. Now, actually, here's a good point. And I found this for many, many years with many, many students writing programs. They would come to me with a problem program, which was very, very difficult to understand and debug because they hadn't followed a step-by-step development process from the start. They'd tried shortcuts, they'd tried, ignoring standards and so on. If they had followed the standards and developed it in the way I had suggested, in a top-down, step-by-step fashion, they probably wouldn't even be in the problem. But if they had, and they still had a problem, it would be much easier for me to fix. Here, this document came to me completely unformatted, and so I have no idea why it's behaving in a peculiar way. If it had been developed correctly, according to proper styles from the start, no problem. Okay? So, get back to my original planned document. Yep, we've done that. We've looked at that. We've formatted a paragraph. I've demonstrated turning a 100% normal document into a completely improperly formatted document. I've stepped through formatting all the text blocks, demonstrated structured list of headings and how these all appear in the navigation panel. I demonstrated captions to the best of my ability given the document I had. For setting up table of contents, table of tables, table of figures automatically. And now that gets me to one of my favourite topics, and that is Grammarly. Nobody seems to use Grammarly. Some people don't want to use Grammarly because it costs money. They don't want to pay money for it. But there is a free version of Grammarly that I use. And it's brilliant at picking up punctuation errors, spelling mistakes, suggesting change in text because it's, the text is a little bit verbose or something. I love Grammarly. It helps me enormously when I'm editing people's documents for good English. Okay? It's free. And how do I get Grammarly? Well, I go to, or how can you get Grammarly? We'll go to the internet. And I'll just say, download Grammarly for Office. And there's all sorts of places where I can download Grammarly for Office. And there's instructions on how to add Grammarly to your Office. And as soon as you install it in Office, it applies to everything in Office 365. For example, here's an English language grammar document that I'm putting together in PowerPoint. If I spelt this incorrectly, Grammarly should, it's not going to, right? It should highlight that. There it is, right, okay, so it's coming back and telling me. So Grammarly applies to my PowerPoint presentations as well. Grammarly also applies to my my emails that I write in Office 365, which is what everybody uses at NU. And it's very simple. Download it, insert it, and you've got instructions on how to do that. Very, very simple. So I really, really strongly suggest that you use Grammarly, that you download it, that you install it, and you use it. Let's have a look at a document. I'll just find any document. Oh yeah, let's try this document, which should be reasonably okay. So Grammarly, open Grammarly, go right down the end and see what happens. Grammarly appears here and it goes through, and let's just go up, up, up. I'll move this into the center. I can leave that there, no problem. Okay, Grammarly is checking, checking, checking. Nothing yet, nothing yet. No, it's just initializing the session. This is all a bit slow because I have a number of documents open. So Grammarly will appear here and we'll check your document and we'll come up with all sorts of interesting errors and suggestions. So far it looks like I'm pretty clean. Ah, here we are. What's all this about? One syllable. Add a hyphen. Why? Because one syllable is an adjective made up of two words. Each word has its own special meaning, and we're putting them together to make an adjective for the noun. And the word verb is in fact a noun. And Grammarly says, well, we need to put a hyphen between them. Grammarly also suggests that that should be uppercase, R for run. I can agree or disagree. In this case, I will disagree. A single syllable word, there we are, I'll change that. Most of the time I'm happy to accept Grammarly's suggestions. Sometimes I don't. I could get rid of this. Get out of the way, you. Yeah. Nothing's going right. Ah, here we are, right. Pardon me. Okay, you probably already do understand. Well, it says, well, you don't really need do. You probably already understand, okay? Remove the comma. Now, punctuation is a difficult thing for people to understand in English. I'm probably going to put together a video on punctuation, but there's some reasonably simple rules about it. You see here, to understand the spelling rules, that's introducing the sentence. So to understand the spelling rules, you first need to understand blah, blah. If I take that comma out, to understand the spelling rules you first need to understand, hang on a moment, am I going to talk about the spelling rules I first need to understand? Or is it the vowels? So this breaks up the sentence. Whenever you start your sentence with however or some other situation, then you'd have a comma. If I remove that phrase, that's still a valid, useful, interesting sentence. Okay? What I've done is added some better understanding to the sentence to start off with. So I put a comma. This is only one aspect of punctuation. So I won't go into it because it deserves another hour or so of talking about punctuation. Okay, any other wise words about this? There is really only one way. Well, Grammarly says, well, hang on a moment, is there only one way or not? Right, so we don't need really, so we get rid of that. What I'm demonstrating to a certain extent is how you can improve your English. Why did Grammarly say that? Well, because there is only one way. Is that a direct statement? Is that a fact? There is only one way. To say there is really only one way is a redundancy. Okay? Correct your spelling. Well, that's just a straight misspelling according to Grammarly, but I put it in here like this as the phonetic. How do you pronounce accident? Accident. So I'm going to ignore that. Sometimes Grammarly comes up with a spelling mistake because it sees a word that is spelt the American way, and I have the Grammarly to check British spelling. I could turn it into Grammarly to check American spelling, but A, I don't know how to, and B, I can't be bothered finding out. Okay? So whenever I see Grammarly say, this is non-British, I say, well, forget about it, it's American. Okay, I'll leave that. So you don't always have to agree with Grammarly, but it helps a lot. Remove the comma. Again, learn vocabulary and how to pronounce words and spell the words one by one, so we don't need the comma. Okay? Use Grammarly. Now, for you scientific people out there, I'll just get rid of this now. Close. Don't save. We'll leave it at that. Right. Another little word of advice that is very, very helpful. And that is degree symbol. How do you enter a degree symbol, as in 36 degrees centigrade or 180 degrees direction? The little degree symbol. Well, some people would say, oh, okay, well, I have to insert a degree symbol. Okay, I have to go to symbol. Where's the degree symbol? Oh, there's more. Okay. I was shown the other day where there is a way to do it with a keyboard thing, but I can't remember how he did it, and when he did it, it wasn't terribly successful. Degree symbol. You hold down the Alt key and you enter 0176. Thusly, Alt 0176 degrees. Okay? Now, for people who don't deal with degree symbols in maths or from medical science, for people who don't work in medical science and don't need degree symbols for temperatures, that's not really interesting. But for people who do, write it down. Alt, hold down the Alt key, 0176. All of the other special symbols that you might use are on the keyboard. Shift percentage, okay? Shift ampersand, Shift hash, but Alt 0176 for degrees. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's approximately 10 to 12. I'll give you one last piece of advice before we go. Is 12 a.m. or p.m.? Is 12 a.m. or p.m.? Oh, why do I do that twice? Because this could be 12 noon and this could be 12 midnight. Now, is 12 noon 12 a.m. or 12 p.m.? Is 12 midnight a.m. or p.m.? My suggestion is, and this is supported by all the information I've seen on the internet, if you're not using the 24-hour clock, you say 12 noon. So 12 equals 12 noon. And 24 equals midnight. You might say 12 midnight, but it's not necessary, midnight, okay? And in fact, you don't even need to say that. But you can say 12 noon and nobody's going to throw rocks at you, or 12 midnight. That solves the problem of whether midday is AM or PM, or midnight is AM or PM. On that little interesting note, I will say thank you very much for watching this. I hope it was interesting, and I hope it gives you something as a foundation to learn more about Word, and certainly to start using Word in the way it's supposed to be used for formatting as well as just text entry. On that score, I'll come back to here, and are there any questions or any suggestions, comments, apart from bye-bye, that you might like to state?